So now what we're going to do is kind of show you, well, we are going to show you some, I think that Tim mentioned this idea of a zero downtime deployment. So what we have here is the Plants by WebSphere app that we saw as part of the Transformation Advisor demo. And we actually follow the steps outlined in Transformation Advisor to get this up and running in a container. So we didn't change any code, so it went from WebSphere App Server to WebSphere Liberty, running inside a container, running on the IBM Cloud Kubernetes service. And so what we're going to do now is going to show you the, one of the immediate benefits of migrating from especially a single WebSphere app server environment to a Kubernetes environment where we can take advantage of zero deployment. So let's talk about all the various moving parts that we have. So clearly we have the app running in a container. It is using component in Kubernetes called Ingress for load balancing. So it's actually being replicated across, in this case, I think we have 8 replicas running across different containers in the Kubernetes cluster. And this is being load balanced across them. And we also have Jenkins. So what we've done in Jenkins is we've set up a pipeline so that whenever we make changes to this particular application, it can automatically kick off a pipeline that will build the new app, deploy it out to Kubernetes automatically. So that and it deploys it in such a way so that there is zero downtime. One of the challenges of doing this sort of demo is that even when you have, in our case, we have 8 replicas running, it's still kind of very challenging to do it to get in there quickly enough to actually see the replicas being changed over from the old version to the new version. But we'll do our best here to see if we can at least catch some of it as it's going on. So let's take a look first inside Jenkins at our pipeline. So for those of you that have used Jenkins in the past, this may look familiar. But generally speaking, what our pipeline does when it gets kicked off is it checks out the code from the SCM. In this case, we're just using GitHub, and it builds a new version of the file, the application air file, using Maven. Then it builds a Docker image, and it pushes it out to the container registry that we're using. In our case, we're using the IBM Container Registry. That's part of that works hand in hand with the IBM Cloud Kubernetes service. So it's a private registry. And then we look at the running deployment, and we point it to look at the new image, and then Kubernetes will do what Tim described as a rolling deployment, and will gradually sort of make sure that all the replicas are updated to the new image, but in such a way that there's no downtime. So it doesn't shut down the app, and then replace all the replicas and then bring it back up. It does it in a rolling manner so that at any given time, the app is always available. Now, during this transformation period, you may, or depending on how far along it is, you may get, an old version of the app or a new version of the app. But the point is, again, the most important point here is that you always have a version of the app running. So let's take a look at that. So what we want to do first is we want to kick everything off. So let's go into GitHub, and let's go look at the code. Sorry, wrong. That was my bad. Wrong repo. So I want to go and look at the code, and I'm going to do something simple. So I'm just going to look at something on that first page in the web app part. So something that we can visually see has changed. So let's go down here. Let's edit this file. So just quick to skip over here quickly. You can see we have these specials. So I'll just go ahead and change one of these. We'll discount the price of the bonsai tree. And then, so again, it's something that we can see fairly easily. So we'll go here, and with the magic of cut and paste, I have avoided some typing. So what I'm doing is I'm using this is just an HTML strike. It's HTML. It will show $35 with a line through it, and then show the new price of $25. And I'll go ahead and just say this is part of my demo, and I'll commit my changes. And if the hopefully that took it. If the demo gods are with me, this should kick off. So I do have a backup plan in case this. Okay, yeah, it has kicked off. So you see the last build was number 10, and you can see that number 11 has actually kicked off automatically. And again, this is because I've tied, I've connected my Jenkins to my Git repo, so that whenever I commit a change, I get my pipeline gets automatically kicked off. And I just want to go through it. It goes fairly quickly, so I don't want to be able to miss. So essentially what it's doing is building a new image and then replacing the replica, running replicas. So let's go over here and start looking to see how quickly. So now we're still on the old ones. Yep, and see that now and unfortunately, it happens so quickly that typically you won't get a window where you see, for a simple app like this, you won't get a window where you see both of them running at the same time. But with a larger app that takes longer to deploy, then it would be easier to find that window where both are available. So that's done. Again, that's done with the magic of Kubernetes. And let's go back here. Let's just go back here to give you an idea of, there we go. Give you an idea of how easy that is. So as part of this, there's a Jenkins file which describes the pipeline. And so again, let's just, so essentially we talked about, building the file that uses Maven, so that's fairly straightforward. Then we build an image, so we build a Docker image and we push it out to our private registry, and then we deploy the new Docker image. But if you look here, right here, this is just one command. So with one Kubernetes command, I can say replace the image of this deployment. In our case, we had 8 replicas, and replace it with this new version of the image that I just built. And that just with that one command, it will do a rolling deploy. Here is another command that I just do a rollout status, so I can actually see as it's rolling out. It will give me information about the various replicas that are being updated. So let's take a look at that really quickly, and we'll. Right. So so this is all of this below this point. This is the output of that Kubernetes command to show me the rollout status. But really, the command before that, the set image, is the one that actually does the rolling deploy. And as you can see, it gives you. I had 8 replicas, so it's giving me So it replaced 2, then it replaced 3, then it replaced 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then it, when it's done, it gives me this message, successfully rolled out. So that is, again, that is what we call a zero downtime deployment. I didn't really have to set up any special configuration. I simply used Kubernetes and used the right command. And I also set up my Jenkins pipeline to be connected with my GitHub repo. So whenever I push something, this pipeline would automatically get deployed. Obviously, in a more sort of production-like environment, I would have more, my pipeline would be more sophisticated. It would probably have, different types of tests and so on to make sure that the application is actually still working as it should. And I can do other things like canary deployments and A/B deployments to sort of, ease the new version in, as opposed to just, putting it out there like the way we did here. But for demo purposes, I think this is useful to sort of see the power of the underlying technologies.